And we're back for our fourth of 8 games on the day. That's right, WPC Western Dota action is going to be long and grueling today. I'm LDB on the Summit, and I'm joined here today by Basekip for Game 2 of Fnatic versus Alliance. Alliance apparently, Basekip, if they win this game, they're in. I'm not sure about that myself, but that's what Dat Dota tweeted, and Martin apparently ran all the numbers and possible scenarios, so I'm going to trust him on that one. And I have you muted. There we go.
Hey. So, yeah, Alliance, I guess a big opportunity for them to secure their spot, and I guess a little bit of a balanced discussion to come up this game as well, because we have Ember Spirit versus Lycan. Not everything can be banned when we're now dealing with, banning out the Wisp on one side for Alliance and getting rid of the Naga Siren on the other for Fnatic. So this should be interesting.
5 seconds remaining.
Yeah, in terms of the numbers, Lycan has the much more ridiculous win rate. He's like 68%, and Ember is hovering right near 50, 52, 53.
At the same time, I feel like people started picking up Lycan, and the teams that were running it initially were getting a lot of success out of it, with teams not knowing how to deal with it at all. And as the patch has gone on, teams have sort of become more familiar with how to deal with the Lycan. Some teams have strategies that work reasonably well. However, on the flip side of the coin, I think we started the patch with Ember Spirit, and some teams just were playing him in really odd ways. I think, like, most notably, Havost, his very first game of Ember Spirit, he was like jumping in with the Remnants and trying to right-click people instead of just staying back and spamming Side of Fist. So I wonder if the overall win rates have changed, over the patch. I would suspect that it would be something like that, but I don't know. I can't look at the graphs.
Yeah, part of it is also just that Ember Spirit is more of a skill cap, so you can like pick Lycan and just, howl, pop the wolves, pop the necro, and A-click at their base, whereas Ember requires a little more finesse. So the win rates definitely don't tell the full story, but 68% is like unfathomably high of a win rate. Like, even Wisp in his prime, or in its prime before it got nerfed, was hovering around 60. So, like, it's a good hero. They're both very strong. Fnatic will go for the Chen. Now, I imagine, Alliance are just going to be looking to start picking some counter push and banning it out. Now, they've been here before where they gave away the Chen and Luna, a strong pushing light for Cloud9. What they did that series was they went for the solo mid Magnus, and they went for Keeper of the Light as one of their 2 supports. I don't know if they'll do that again, but that is a pretty fearsome counter pushing duo if they want to head that direction.
Yeah, they just went for the mass spam, sat back, let the Ember Spirit farm up, and Ember Spirit with Magnus is pretty scary. So I think Fnatic very wisely get rid of the Mag, because not only was the Mag in that series a fantastic counter pusher, he was also a huge enabler for the Ember Spirit. Like, an empowered Ember Spirit is very, very scary. So.
And I do like the Fnatic ban of the Mag. They've seen them do it before. This is a crucial game for Fnatic. And they're not going to give it away. Fnatic, speaking of playoff scenarios, they need to win out, and then I think they also still need help. I'm going to double-check Martin's tweet. I'm counting on you, Martin, to have gotten your math right here, but he said Fnatic needs to win 4-0. No, if they win all their matches, they qualify. If they go 1-1 and 2-0, they need help, meaning other teams have to have certain results. So Fnatic still control their own destiny if they win out. Same with Alliance, so that's what you want to see out of these matches, is games where a team can just decide their fate by playing well and winning. It sucks when a team wins, but then they don't qualify because some other tiebreak shenanigans happen.
Yeah, the absolute worst is when another team is guaranteed to make it in no matter what, and one game determines which team joins them. Like, they almost get to make the decision, like, if we lose this game intentionally, not saying that a team would ever do it, we can let this team in as opposed to the other one, and that's always the downside, I think, of the round robin play. Like, I really like round robins in one sense, as far as everybody plays each other, you get all the good games, and I think it's pretty fair, but you also end up with some weird situations where there's a very clear divide, and sometimes you can manipulate that a little bit in the final games.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, oh, do we want to keep Na'Vi out of the Starlight or Land Finals if the team has that power? It's like, well, we could let them in, or we could let any other team that hasn't won 6 of the damn things already. Maybe then they're at least tempted to think about losing that game. But no accusations of impropriety here from anybody. It just sucks when you don't control your own destiny. But for Alliance, they'll ban out the Venomancer as well as the Bane here. So Bane very strong against like more of a one core lineup, especially. They are running the Prophet though, so Alliance aren't headed that direction, but they do want to remove a hero that can somewhat neuter Ember in the team fights. And the thing is, if you reduce Ember's damage, it's not like, oh, he's right-clicking one hero less. He's sleight of fisting everybody for less damage, so that's a pretty good hero. Plus, just reliable lockdown, which is what Alliance don't have right now. Like in Chen, 0 reliable stuns. That is a concern they'll need to address in this phase of the draft.
Yeah, they do have room to get away with a fairly greedy support as far as what their lockdown is going to be, and I think that's what's motivated the Bane ban a little bit. When you have a Chen, the other support is free to either run pulls or sit there and zone out the offlaner, and that means that you can go for something a little bit greedy.
How do you feel about Shadow Shaman here?
I'm personally a big Shadow Shaman fan, honestly. Like, I think that how popular he is in the Chinese scene at the moment is... it's not too much of a surprise. I think the hero is very strong, and we've seen it a little bit, I believe, in the West recently. Like, I think Cloud9 have started picking it a bit. I saw Empire, I think, last pick it a couple of weeks ago. Just a week ago, I think they picked it like third. So it is something that seems to be moving up a little bit in the Western scene, but it's like first pick, almost guaranteed in the East right now.
Yeah, that's where I'm really looking forward to Star Ladder, and I'm curious just how much replay analysis and how much respect these teams will show. Like, for example, will DK IG actually be banning Ember when they go to China? IG does like to run it, but DK just doesn't pick the hero at all. So especially for DK, do they risk giving it away? Are they actually prepared for the Western Embers who've played it quite a bit more than most Asian teams and seem to have polished the hero? And similarly, if you're one of the European teams, do they respect heroes like Shadow Shaman? That just aren't as popular. So we'll see, but that should be a good kind of proving grounds and just opportunity to see two. The scene is much more globalized nowadays, and you see much more cross-pollination, but there's still like different metagames that emerge in each region. Even CIS versus Europe, and then especially China versus the rest of the world. So I'm really looking forward to that in a week or so.
Yeah, should be good. And who's flying out for BTS? For
yeah, it's myself, Merlini, as well as K-pop Tosis. So we're sending 3 people, and it should be fun. I'm looking forward to it. I warned K-pop Tosis though. There's a lot of vodka involved when you go to Starwater. Maybe less this time because there's gonna be so many more games with 8 teams instead of 4. But yeah, it should be a lot of fun.
I'm sure K-pop can hold his own as far as...
No, I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about myself, man. I don't tolerate well anymore. I'm 27. I get nasty day after. So.
Old man LD.
I gotta wait until the event's over and then I'll celebrate. But Fnatic so Shadow Shaman.
Yeah, and I think Shadow Shaman, fantastic. They've seen the Terrain Protector. Shadow Shaman, the big thing with Tree is that you always need to commit fully to a push. You're going to walk up to a full HP tower, and it needs to go from full to nothing. And the Shadow Shaman and the Lycan are both going to deal with that really well. And I think a really good last pick for them could potentially be Dragon Knight, actually. It's another hero that just doesn't really care about living armor in the slightest. It's actually not a bad matchup for the Ember mid if it is going to end up being the Ember mid. I don't know if Alliance typically run it safe lane or not, but it looks like both teams are looking for their mid heroes.
And it's just a good instant stun. I mean, if they want, they could also go for like a Shadow Blade DK and you can actually gank the Ember pretty effectively with that, especially if Shadow Shaman gets an early Hex, or they can go BKB and 5-mana towers. So I quite like that. And I look at Alliance's draft and they don't really have much counter push, which is very surprising to me. I imagine they'll try. What are they even going to get at this point? It looks like probably... It could be S4's here, or maybe what they do is they run S4 on the Ember, and then they pick Loda something else up for the safe lane. But they need a lot of AoE. They have no counter push really at all. I don't think Sleight of Fist doesn't count early game. It's not going to do anything. We'll deal with the wards. It's only not until he gets his first few items that they can actually stop these pushes.
5 seconds.
Yeah, until you get a Battle Fury in the Ember, he's just not going to be scary at all as far as counter pushing is concerned. And I worry a little bit for Alliance as well as far as damage is concerned.
Well, they try to address
and damage.
This pick maybe addresses both needs, I guess, because they get some AoE and they get a lot of damage. What do you think of the Timbersaw?
Yeah, I think the Timbersaw is going to work out pretty well here. It does make their lanes a little bit interesting, so I guess it's Timby mid, Prophet off lane, and then Ember probably just farming up in the safe lane. And Timbersaw, until he gets that level 6, it is actually quite easy to go down and push down that tier 1 tower down on the dire side. And when you've got Lycan and Chen, there's actually an opportunity to maybe go for 2 and or even against the Nature's Prophet. Timbersaw's probably going to be mid. I don't. Wrong thing said there, but yeah. And wow, Fnatic all in on the push. Finish it with the DP here.
Oh boy, this is I won't even call it cheesy necessarily, but this is just like a wrecking ball coming Alliance's way, and they'll have their work cut out for him here. Well, BaseKit, it's time for our second game of Fnatic versus Alliance. As mentioned, the stakes are high. For Alliance, a win here, they guarantee, apparently, they'll win the tiebreakers, and therefore their advancement to Shanghai. They'll go back to China. Last time Alliance went to China, they were just unrivaled. Absolutely crushed everyone, went undefeated at the G1 League, beat every top team, never dropped a game, and walked away with a lot of prestige, a lot of prize money, en route to their later TI3 championship. That tournament, to me, was when Alliance took off, because before that, they had some success in Europe, but they didn't really know what they were made of. They hadn't really proved themselves on a big stage, but that tournament, they just came, they saw, they conquered. And even Liquid, another Western team, fell very short. So Alliance really separated themselves from the pack at that event. And to me, it kind of set the stage for their later successes. So perhaps another trip to China is just what the doctor ordered for Alliance to rejuvenate themselves. But before they can do that, they've got to fight their way through Fnatic, who are coming in numbers and with a lot of crap being shoveled at the towers here. So with that introductions out of the way, we'll introduce Alliance. Now, they're on the dire side. They'll have Loda playing the Ember. Boots first Ember. I'll let you talk about that in a second. Ake on the Dazzle, EGM, your Treant, they're going to smoke up at level 1. S4, the Timbersaw, and that does leave Bulldog on the Nature's Prophet. And then Fnatic, Trixie on the Centaur, Notel on the Chen, smoke on him. Hani playing the Death Prophet solo mid. Era, your safe lane Lycan, and that does leave Fly the Shadow Shaman. We might have a level 1 clash. This is kind of a mirror of their dire smokes.
Yeah, they're looking for kills, they're looking toward the Chen's camps, and this is a really interesting way to start it.
No, the boots first, they're going to find Notel. This could easily be the first blood. Notel's in a lot of trouble, and just instantly gets eviscerated. Now, however, the Stomp connects on 3. Maybe Fnatic walk away intact from this. S4 trying to fight his way out, but they've surrounded him. He's just not doing enough damage, and these constant nukes from Hani are clearing everyone up. They bring down 2 so far, 2 for 2. Bulldog potentially going down here to Hani. Another zap. They're going to lose 4 heroes. They just can't win the team fight. It's a 4 for 3. It's a bloody bath in the enemy jungle. But in the end, Hani, he'll walk away very happy. And I don't think that's what Alliance had in mind. They were like, let's get a clean first blood with the boost first Ember, who's actually coming back bottom already. He still wants to drop his ward down. But, yeah. That didn't go nearly as well as Alliance expected it to.
Yeah, and I think Alliance are actually, they're looking to go aggro here just because they know that the Timbersaw 1v1 against the Centaur is actually really favorable for the Timby. So this is an interesting way to put some pressure on. And another engagement here.
I don't know if they're going to come out on top here. Oh, actually, who am I kidding? Man, they hit hard with that heal bomb. One more right click. They'll bring down Era as well. It's 5 to 4, and the freaking creeps only just spawned. Well, I think this is how you deal with the Lycan. You mentioned teams have been getting better at dealing with it. Take the fight to him at level 1. Don't let him get the wolves up. Don't let him have any real damage output, and just keep on pressing forward.
Yeah, and we have seen aggressive tri lanes against Lycan on the version just because teams have been letting it through and finding out ways to deal with it. But the one big difference here is that Fnatic have gone for the Chen and the Lycan. Sometimes the response for the aggro tri-lane is if you think that you can't win the tri-v-tri, you get the Lycan up to level 2, level 3, and then he rushes over into the jungle and you just leave the supports to start soaking up their levels. But because the Chen by necessity needs most of the jungle, then the Lycan is forced to stay here in the lane and deal with the tri-lane, which is actually working out pretty well for Loda.
They're going for a backstab on the Chen, but he'll be far too late as Fly gets caught out. Yeah, they were waiting for that no-tail backstab, but Fly just slightly out of position. Maybe they'll try it again. This is a lot of waste of time for No-Tail. They're pinning it out. They really want to make something happen, but already Dazzle's about to hit level 3, at which point he'll have a Grave. They still have... Do they have a living armor here? No mana on the tree. That could cost them. As the backstab now comes, will the clap be on 2? No, they'll just settle for Ake. But he Graves himself. He's going to be a pest in this fight. Loda comes back in. Maybe gets off a Searing Chains to keep his teammate alive. The heal, not enough. Will go down. Well... They give up the kill there, but that's just such a big investment for Fnatic. Losing the Shadow Shaman first, rotating the Chen in, and No-Tail's still level 1, already 2 minutes in.
Yeah, it's also worth mentioning that we've seen Lycans get aggressively tri-laned against, get absolutely trashed, like 8 minutes in, having just brown boots and a ring of protection, and losing the tier 1 tower, and then they still come back to carry out the game. So I don't know how worried Fnatic are, but I think Alliance feel that this is the best way to deal with it, keep him down from the word go, and their late game is pretty good as far as dealing with the Lycan is concerned, and they've always got that late game split push option with the Nature's Prophet.
Fnatic just seemed like they were caught completely with their pants down, not just by the level 1 engagement, but by the lanes. Like, running the Prophet mid, they did not expect that. They expected to see the Prophet off lane, probably just load a safe lane farming the Ember, and then Timber saw mid, and that's just not what they got. So you got to credit Alliance for being creative with their lanes, and although team... Well, we'll see a little harassment here from EGM. They'll back off. But often the rap on Alliance, to me, has been, oh, they're so predictable. Like, they always draft the same things, especially in TI3, but they're not a team who's afraid to experiment. Remember, this is the team that went for the level 1 5-man TP to the Roche right away at G1 League, mentioning it earlier. So they're not afraid to be creative, and they're showing some creativity here.
Yeah, and I feel like what would have been going through Fnatic's heads is, oh, one, Alliance aren't really a team that's known for their aggressive tri-lane play that much. You know, maybe if you're playing against a CIS team or something, you expect it a little bit more. And you're kind of telling yourself as well, oh, it's a double melee aggressive tri-lane and they have a tree. They definitely want levels on the tree. Why would they go aggro? But in this specific instance, when it actually comes down to the lane playing out, it works out fantastically for Alliance.
Even though the lane's gone very poorly, Lycan is level 4 now. He'll have the level 3 Wolves out, at which point they go invis, and they just become a complete pain to lane against. So it's not all lost for them. And the other consideration is just the damage from Hal. But, oh, I missed a solo kill. I thought he was just going to backstab the creep wave, but he actually went on Trixie. Went down in the end. I just have my camera there, so no excuses for missing that one, folks. But, yeah, a bit of an overextension from S4 in the end. Thought he had the kill and didn't get it.
Yeah, it's like, oh man, I'm crushing this lane. It's so easy against the Centaur, and then for some reason chooses to end up between the tier 1 and the tier 2. And
I saw him doing that, but I thought he was just like backstabbing and then was going to retreat and go check the rune or something. But yeah, he fully
the critical
committed.
Mistake was aggroing the tower, and he ended up eating like 1 or 2 tower shots when he got stunned, and then just barely got finished off.
He still almost got the kill. That Centaur barely had any HP. But what do you make of the way this tri-lane's going? No-Tail's just been in the lane constantly. They haven't really been pulling at all. They attempted to deward. They finally got the camp dewarded at 5 minutes. But do you think this is good overall for Alliance, or do you think it's Fnatic are doing a good job of handling it?
I think Alliance are just buying time, and the question of whether or not it's worth it comes down to the other lanes, really. I mean, this prevents this tier 1 tower going down, but they do still need to get to the point in the game where the Ember Spirit is scary enough to actually start spamming and defending. And I feel like as soon as this tri-lane splits up to start doing things elsewhere, maybe they send the Prophet into the jungle and they want to give some levels to the Dazzle or the tree, then the Fnatic draft is still well equipped to, you know, get these early towers anyway. So a lot of it rests in the hands of Bulldog and S4 to do well in their matchups and be ready to hold things off once the tri-lane has to go back and start farming up.
And even though S4 gave up a solo kill, he should have a good time in this matchup. Timbersaw against another strength hero. You see just when he throws the chakram out, instantly Trixie loses about half his HP. And S4 almost thinking about a dive there for a kill, but not going to commit to it. So of all the, like, for him dying, it's not the end of the world because he can probably still salvage the lane. Bulldog hasn't joined that bottom lane yet, but that's the, like you said, the solos could be the X factor. I wonder if they're going to look to go. Centaur ult forced out. Trixie was dropping very low top lane. And meanwhile, Pani finds the opportunity to dive the Prophet mid on the back of that. So saves himself and finds a kill for his team. A bottom lane.
Really
EGM's walking in. He walks right into a shackle. There's a stomp here as well. EGM, they need a grave, but the stomp prevents Aki from getting the grave out. Beautiful Chen play. Stunning not one, but 2 heroes. Now Loda, he'll Searing Chains as they retreat out, but Hani's on the chase. They shackle up Loda. The Wolves trying to get off the block. Loda walks back in. That is not where Loda wants to run. Trixie's there as well. They've corralled the Ember. And Loda not level 6 yet. Suddenly double kills for No-Tail. Doesn't get a ton of experience because there were 4 heroes there, but Fnatic emerging in the lead. 9-6 the score. Now leading in terms of gold and experience. And the only question I'm asking is, well, where's the Prophet and Timbersaw in these fights? They've yet to join them. Just a Prophet ult that got used earlier.
Yeah, the Prophet death was a big problem. I don't quite know how Alliance found themselves in such a compromising position. I feel like maybe they were going across to contest the pull or maybe find a kill on the Chen, but they get completely caught out there. And That's a big win for Fnatic.
They are going to make a rotation off the lane now. Loda, he's decided he's had enough bottom, and he'll head towards the top side of the map and look to find a kill, but there's just nobody here. Trixie's back at base, Fly's retreating out, and S4 will apply some pressure. Level 3 Timber Chain up, level 2 in the Whirling Death, so has a lot of burst damage available and could be very aggressive with his split pushing past the tower. But Fnatic so far, getting decent farm. They're a bit under-farmed on the Lycan, but he's got his levels up. The makings of the Vlads are there, and Lycan is nothing if not a comeback hero. So now we'll see a TP top. It's the Centaur. The Trixie, that's what they were waiting for. They'll surround him, but who's really caught out? Who is the question? Now the Centaur gets deployed. S4 continues to chase. Bulldog joins the fray as well. They've isolated Trixie with the Sprout. Can they bring him down? He doesn't manage to do enough damage. They get the kill. The TP got cancelled, and Fly's going to run his way top instead.
Yeah, they got 2 cancelled TPs, so this should probably be a tower for them as well. Yeah, there was a TP, I think, coming in from the Shadow Shaman, which they cancelled initially, and then the Death Prophet started TPing, but also ended up cancelling. But they're both going to walk up anyway, but yeah, the tier 1 tower looks like it's gone.
The beauty of the Lycan is they'll look to take a tower here as well. The Living Armor's kept it alive for now. There's still a Howl available, though. And will he be able to get the trade? Nope, looks like he won't. The Alliance are going to defend. Loda joins the fray. They can kill off Era here, even through his ultimate. He'll just melt to the Prophet. Now, No-Tail next on the list. One more right-click. Loda's going to pick up another kill. Bulldog got the first one with the ult. Suddenly, Bulldog has Midas, has 700 gold. And things are looking up. It's just the power of the Alliance lineup is that they can just swing the pendulum so easily. Very mobile, heavy on the burst damage, and the pick-off potential is very high. Ultimately, the tri-lane, I want to say it kind of did its job for Alliance, because it kept the Shadow Shaman down, and it kept No-Tail down. Even though Lycan's still getting his levels, these two supports at this stage of the game could be like 5, maybe 6 or 7 on the Chen, and threatening towers. So now it's much more on Hani, and to some extent Trixie, to salvage the mid-game.
Yeah, and we touched on it during the draft that Fnatic could be a little bit greedy with the support that they went for, because it was basically going to be a solo support with the Chen, but the Alliance aggressive tri-lane punished that so nicely. And I think they've put themselves in a position now where S4 and Bulldog are ready to start split pushing to create space and drag the game out, and also just have the Timbersaws straight up defense from the Chakram.
Era doesn't have his ultimate. He could be in trouble here. Well, Trixie's going to bail him out. He rotates in, but Loda's already got drums and looking to apply additional pressure. Era's going to be forced off the lane, but they're not trading. Like, they use the Death Prophet ultimate. They actually will get the tower, but it gets denied in the end, so even that's not a full victory for them. Let's see if Alliance stick around. I'm surprised they denied it. They have this Treant Protector. They could have looked to just heal it up.
Yeah, and I think it was a bit weird from Fnatic. So what they were doing, I think, was trying to be cute. Like, Hani was getting sent back by No-Tail while he was trying to finish off the tower, but didn't quite have the damage, and that meant that he just popped away with the tower on like 50 hit points, and in-popped Ake to say, well, okay, I'm just gonna get rid of it. So that was a bit odd from them.
Nice midi jungle plays by Era, baiting out the stun and juking it with his hero. You can also just leave one wolf behind, but he'll continue farming very quickly, and he'll start catching up now with the Vlads online. The most farmed hero in the game is the Death Prophet. Hani, I think the last time I saw his Death Prophet, he went, I want to say it was like a Midas into Treads, but this time around, and he's been seen going Bloodstone apparently in the past, is what? Was it Fear? Or, I think it was Fear who mentioned
Bulba.
That.
I think you're...
Oh, it's Bulba.
Maybe with Bulba, yeah.
But not the case
EGM caught out.
EGM in a bad position. He's got his ultimate. Won't get to use it. The Centaur was deployed. Do they continue chasing for S4? Well, they'll settle for that. But the thing is, when this team gives up a kill, how many towers drop? At least the tier 1 bottom is probably going down here. Yeah, this is not going to survive. Not with the Chen creeps. There's a Lycan here to tank as well. And they've got the heal aura too. So they'll TP in a few, but the tower already dropping low. Are they going to commit fully for it? The Death Prophet ult. They get the last hit with the Lycan Wolves. Well done. Do they continue chasing? Shadow Shaman, wards online. I wonder if they can turn too. The Yule Scepter is there. They'll throw the Dazzle up in the air. They drop him back down. But S4 is now on the hunt, and Loda can march forward here. He can drop a Remnant and look to engage on somebody. He Sleight of Fist through. He was going for the Searing Chains, but doesn't actually connect on anyone that mattered, and they'll back off.
I don't know if Alliance want to keep on pushing. The exorcism down.
There's still these wards to worry about. Let's see how far they commit to this. Both teams definitely have a lot of damage output. But like you said, no Death Prophet ultimate. That is something they'll be lacking. Centaur ult cooling down soon. if they get a good ward trap here on somebody crucial like Bulldog, maybe Ake, could potentially turn the fight. And Trixie's just waiting for his ult. Alliance continue to apply pressure in the lane. The Lycan sees this and says, screw this, I'm going jungle. His hero will rotate off, and he's probably the least useful hero in these fights. Up close. He can just pop Hal, send the wolves in if he wants, but the main hero might as well be off somewhere else.
Yeah, at least for now. I mean, like in the mid game, once he gets his treads up, maybe even once he just has the Necrobook, especially once he has the BKB, he's going to be scary. But for now, Arrow is just interested in catching up. And I mean, Alliance, they came up to the tower, they huffed and they puffed a little bit, but it didn't really get them anywhere. And they weren't really split pushing in the meantime either. I mean, I think that would have been a better play had Bulldog been off on the other side of the map, pressuring a tier 2 and forcing Fnatic into making a decision, but there was no decision to be made there. They just stood their ground and held onto the towers, so yeah, not really that profitable for Alliance.
Bulldog is going early mech, which we've seen from him a little bit more often. When this patch came out, he was going a lot of Necrobook first, but it seems like more recently when they run his Prophet, S4 is more of a damage dealer, and it's Bulldog who at least has to get the early game fight in on him, so mech will be the choice. Helps against Fnatic, who have quite a bit of AoE and just general burst damage. But at the same time, it does limit that split push potential. And frankly, for Alliance, they just don't push that hard. That's where I worry for them against Fnatic. If they can't counter push, then they're forced to team fight. And then it's mostly up to S4. He's got to do the damage, because Loda is going to tickle a bit. He'll hit reasonably hard with Sleight of Fist max, but he's not going to kill heroes on his own. Fnatic are too beefy for that with the Chen heal, with relatively high HP heroes. And speaking of Fnatic, they'll sneak a Roche here very quickly. Dropping the wards, Medallion's there as well, and the Roche is going to fall. Alliance, giving up a freebie. They're going to be kicking themselves for this, but pick up the Aegis. Yeah, there you go.
Immortality.
And look at these supports on Fnatic. Fly has Arcane Boots. He's almost got his own Blink Dagger up here if he wants it. No-Tail's looking pretty rich, so the signs of the aggressive tri-lane just not really showing up too much as far as their progression is concerned. And the Ember still feels a little bit underwhelming. Loda hasn't really had any space to farm. He's been participating in all of these fights and trying to set up ganks until this point.
Uh-oh. Something wicked this way comes. It's that Death Prophet ultimate. They'll start sieging the tower mid. The Catapult's still alive. They'll try to keep it alive. There's a Blink initiation from Trixie. Goes right onto S4. Remember, there's a Grave, though, so I doubt they want to fully commit. They did pop the Lycan ult. It's like they were thinking about it, but then thought better of it. Trixie, barely going to escape. Looks like he's being sent home. Yeah, he'll finally go back, and they'll look to finish off this tower. But the Lycan ult's about to end. They do bring down the tower. No-Tail gets the last hit. Now they hold EGM in place, but remember, there's still a Grave here. Level 1, he doesn't get it off in time. Wasn't in range. And now Timbersaw, can he clean anyone up by himself? In comes the Ember Spirit. He is hasted. Might find Hani on the retreat out. There's no TP. Is there any way to save him? He'll juke through the trees, but he's running directly away from his own team. And that's where Lotus says, great, now you're isolated. You're mine, Hani. And he'll bring him down. And Fnatic should probably just back up at this point. They get the tree. They lose the Death Prophet, but they also take the tier 2. So Fnatic's still getting a big tower. Ah, they did. Bulldog took one down. It's a slightly less important tower, but still getting a tier 2 for a tier 2.
I think it's a reasonable. It's more important this game than I think it would normally be, especially just because Roshan is such a big objective for both teams, and it opens up the map a lot for the Nature's Prophet. Like, we always talk about the big power of the Nature's Prophet on the Dire side being the fact that he can split push top and secure Roshan pretty much guaranteed every single time. So it's not that big a deal for Fnatic. I think they're still happy to make the trade, but it might come back to bite them a little bit later on in the game.
Yeah, they do have still pretty excellent ganking potential, even without the tower there. They have the Shadow Shaman with Blink Dagger, and they have Stampede, so I want to say Shadow Shaman's closing distance is probably like 2,000 to 2,500 units between both of those combined. That's hard to avoid, no matter how defensively positioned you are. Meanwhile, Loda, he is going for the Battle Fury next. He's hunting No-Tail. Oh, he could go for him with this Living Armor, but he's a bit worried. Dire Vision is lacking. They don't actually know where the rest of the team is. They now spot out Era. And if the Chen shows himself again, maybe this time Loda will go for it. No, not yet.
This is a bunch of time used for Loda. Like, he might be able to get a kill on one of the supports, especially since they have Nature's Wrath ready to go, but that is not gold that's accumulating for him that whole time. And like we said, he's just not really that scary for the team fights or for the counter push until he manages to get that first big item up. So
the other thing On the flip side, I guess, the other thing that's a concern for Alliance is losing this tower early means that it's harder to control your Ancients, because they can just come from two directions and backstab, either from the lane or up the river and up top lane, bottom lane rather. They've gone on S4. There's a Blink Stomp. Yules to initiate that one. Now he goes clearing out. He just massacres one with the AoE, but can S4 live through the second round? He almost brings down a second in doing so. There's a mech there. And, well, they'll retreat out in the end. Now Fly still has his wards, can drop them for this tier 2, and Bulldog goes for the trade, but this will not be a favorable trade. The tier 2's probably falling, and they can't really do much. There's a Blink Stop. They found Ake. Trixie again. That's 2 for 2 on these initiations. The first one he had some help. Buyback from the Timbersaw. Wants to defend this tier 2. Buying a little bit of time for Bulldog, but is it enough? They've sent back one. They've TP'd out another. And No Tail, well, he'll be the one who's slated to fall. He'll go down here. But Alliance can't get a... This is where you'd love to go into the Roche pit, but there is no Roche to be claimed.
Yeah, and like you said, Bulldog was trying to threaten something top, but there's just nothing to threaten there at all. So maybe it was a little bit unfortunate. I wasn't keeping an eye on it. Maybe he'd just summoned the Trance and wouldn't have been able to switch over to mid to actually put some pressure on the tier 1 there. But I think that, yes, Alliance got a couple of kills out there, and they chipped a little bit more time off the edges as well. But the Timbersaw buyback is very costly, especially at this point of the game.
This Yule Scepter has been doing work, though, for Hani. Yule's into Blink Stomp initiation. They've been on the money with that multiple times. It's kind of reminiscent of like a Shadow Demon disruption into an arrow. Just a well-orchestrated jump, and they need the timing to be right. Otherwise, your Timbersaw can just Timber Chain out and live, so... Well done by Fnatic. A combo that they clearly are comfortable with.
Yeah, speaking of Hani's item build, I'm a bit surprised that he isn't going for BOTs this game. 1, because it's Hani, and 2, oh, well, jump bottom lane, Fly's dead.
Look at that initiation range from Loda. However, he has used up all his mana here. The mech will keep him in fighting shape for the time being, but he doesn't have a Remnant to jump to, it looks like. At least hasn't used his... Well, there's one to jump to, but it's right next to him. I don't know if that's going to keep him alive. Not really worth it in the end. I guess created a bit of space, but they won't take the tower.
Bulldog as well.
Gets caught in the trees. I thought he'd be able to TP out, but Bulldog gets caught, will end up going down, and they're trying to trade mid during this time. No Radiant Glyph. Maybe they do lose a tier 1 mid. So Alliance lose 2 cores. Is it worth the tier 1 mid? Yeah, probably not.
Radiant's middle tower has fallen.
The cores making space for supports with their deaths is definitely
kind of bad
not
parts
at this point. Yeah.
And now they're going to lose a tier 2 bottom, at which point it's definitely a questionable trade. They'll look to trade mid, but you're not going to trade equally with a Lycan Death Prophet on one team and a freaking Timbersaw right-clicking towers on the other. The question for me is, do Fnatic just back after this, or do they actually threaten the base? They've got the Blink Dagger up on Shadow Shaman. Do they have their mech online as well for No-Tail? Yes, they do. So they're pretty much in full fighting condition. The only thing they're lacking is the Necro 3 for Fly, but the wards get dropped down. This is just so much stuff dropped in. Look at
so
the
many
tower
skeletons. Look at the skeletons.
They're just wailing away at it, slicing it, dicing. The skeletons are really the heroes. The wards and skeletons, everything glowing orange with the Howl. It's enough. They bring down a tier 3. Now they just look to beat a hasty retreat, settle for a tier 3, and next time they'll go for high ground. I think they'll wait for the round 2 of the wards, the Death Prophet ult, and one more good push from Fnatic. That's a lane of Rax, and even though Bulldog's gone Maelstrom, even though he's going now for a good split pushing build, he's just not going to split push enough. They don't have anything else backing him up. There's no Anti-Mage with a Battle Fury. There's no Phantom Lancer. There's no Naga with Radiance. There's just not enough counter push on the Alliance. And not enough split push to indirectly counter the push.
Yeah, maybe if he had a Necro 3 on top of this Maelstrom, he could, be a threat, and there's a chance that maybe he ends up taking a tier 3 of his own if Fnatic get caught overextending a little bit. But yeah, the trades for Alliance are not working out, and they're just not showing enough respect to Fnatic in how quickly they break the base. Like, Fnatic, when they made their way up onto the high ground, nobody on Alliance was in position, ready to defend. They were all just sitting, floating back behind the tower. And that's also just because of, not only does Fnatic have fantastic push, but only 4 of their heroes are really great pushers, but they've also got 2 fantastic initiators in the Shadow Shaman and the Centaur. And if somebody gets jumped, especially the Timber, things can get really ugly really quickly.
Oh, great Chen play by No-Tail once again, sending his teammate home. He was on the ball as that Wisp at game number 1, and he's been really on the ball, kind of making these under-the-radar plays. And now they find Aki with the Blink Stomp initiation. Trixie does it again. Now look for the Timbersaw next, so they have the follow-up stuns to lock him down. The Death Prophet ult's there. He can't Timber Chain out. Overgrowth, not enough. Now that's wasted as well. and Alliance have very little left in the bank to defend. Is there a single point Nature's guys? They're not, which means no chance for EGM. He'll fall too. Bulldogs push towards the base, but he has not broken their spirits yet. He's only sitting mid for now. Unfortunately for Fnatic, they did use the Death Prophet ult there, which means they can't use it for the high ground. And Bulldog's going to fully push the lane in top. There may be he's scouting for Roshia now as well, but it won't be up yet. Still, Fnatic getting kill after kill after kill.
Yeah, and Bulldog's build, now that he's gone for the Mjolnir, is kind of full team fight, half split push. The lack of a Necrobook means that he's not really all that... He pushes the waves quickly, but he's not really all that scary.
Hitting the tower,
yeah.
That's where he does struggle. And Loda doesn't have Battle Fury yet either. Once he... oh, actually, does he? No, Perseverance. No, it's the full Battle Fury. 23 minutes, it's a bit late. I mean, it might still be in time. We'll see. I guess that's the main thing. It's late by normal standards, but will Fnatic be able to just push in and win now? The other thing is this will slow down the push. Now he can start to clear out the waves, but they found Loda on the backside. There was a Blink Hex initiation. Oh, Loda. Oh, that's a kill they simply cannot afford to be giving up. And now, Alliance, that's most of their damage. Trixie blinks in. He didn't have mana for the stomp. He was just a bit short on it. And in the end, can't get the stomp off. Will he have it now? Yes, he will. Double Edge is there. Stomp follow-up. They brought down 2. And they'll keep on pushing through the bottom lane, but no creeps with them. Bulldog, summon your rat now, my friend. Your team needs you more than ever. S4 gets graved. It's a bit early by Ake, and this probably means he's going down with Trixie in pursuit. S4 gonna live? Yep, Ake, the one who pays. 3 heroes dead. They've chased them inside the base, and they'll just start hitting buildings, but with backdoor protection. I don't know if this is happening. Death Prophet ult's ready. There's no glyph. Maybe they could just bulldoze their way through the backdoor protection. Fnatic are backdooring at 24 minutes. They're killing off S4. Can't believe he went in. He throws his body at them. He'll buy back instantly, even with a Bloodstone. But the damage is done. He'll die again. This is going to be a dieback from S4. This could just be the game right here, potentially. Doesn't make it out. The Ember's too late, and Fnatic will take a full lane of Rex, potentially. Bulldog goes for the split push, but this is a feeble old rat. Just doesn't have enough damage yet. They don't get the full lane of Rex, though. Only the melee.
Yeah, backdoor protection too strong. But Alliance get nothing out of that, and like you said, dieback from S4. A very sad 2 Bloodstone charges left for the Timbersaw. So things are looking really good.
He just got the damn thing. Base kip? Yeah. He got it at like 15, 16 minutes, 17 minutes maybe. Jeez. Well, what do Alliance do? I mean, do they just go for... Oh, Bulldog! Trixie's toying with him. Maybe a little overconfident. Well, not with the Hasterin, as well as the pipe. He'll be absolutely fine. Alliance are just desperate for something. They're going to try and force a Roche again, but Fnatic are well prepared. I don't see Alliance getting this. Is this a 2-0 coming for Fnatic? Right now, well on their way.
Bulldog has such a difficult decision to make. He considered TPing bot, but he realized if I TP bot, you know, my teleportation isn't back off cooldown immediately, and Fnatic might just look to rush straight in. So I think he makes the right decision here. He walks down. Top lane was already kind of pushing in anyway, so Hani's going to go and deal with that. And this is, again, where I'm going to raise the point where I'm a little bit surprised that Hani didn't go for BOTs on this Death Prophet. He's done it in the past, and it's Hani. It's like his favorite item in the entire game.
Yeah, I think the only person who likes them more is Merlini, but pretty much those two love their BOTs.
Yeah, and it's so good at doing exactly this. He can push out top lane, deal with it, and still be ready to BOT to Chen Creeps or Lycan Wolves at any time. So, I don't know. It's a minor thing, but I think it could have helped out a little bit this game.
Yeah, and now Bulldog with the Mjolnir and even a Force Staff is just a little extra damage. He does start to push quite hard, but look at Fnatic. They don't even care about Roche. They might just give it up. No, are they going for Roche? Okay, they do care. They'll go in with the Death Prophet ultimate, start with a silence here. Now a Centaur gets deployed, but they need some actual initiation, and they find it on Ake. Bulldog next to get caught out. The Overgrowth's there, but Trixie not throwing his double edge just yet. Held in position for the time being by the Overgrowth, but the damage is just overwhelming for this Death Prophet, dropping everyone low, hurting them off the fight. The Lycan looks to clean up. They grab Bulldog, but he ain't escaping from this one. Not with the shackles there. Hold him in position. Trixie cleans up. Era cleans up, and everybody just dropping like flies on Alliance. They'll lose Loda here too. That's 3 down. There was a buyback on the Shadow Shaman, and they say, screw the Roche. Maybe we could just break the base right now. Arrowhead's in mid. They'll blink forward. Stomping onto EGM. Is there follow-up damage to secure this kill? Nothing doing yet. But unless there's buybacks, Alliance might have just lost. This could be it. No Death Prophet ult, but they still have the Lycan. He can demolish these buildings very quickly. Although he does lose a Wolf here. They'll have to resummon in a second. Wards get deployed on the high ground. Alliance, they can't afford to lose 2 lanes of Rax. They simply don't have the split push. 2 lanes of Rax down, that's probably time to call GG. So they've got to try and make their stand now. But what do they have? There's no Overgrowth. There's no Ember. He's on the sidelines, doesn't have the buyback, and the Rax are just melting to the right-click damage, to the Wolves, to Era, to the Wards. It's too much. It's too much stuff going Alliance's way. They simply can't deal with it. They need to do a little spring cleaning here. They've got too much junk in the trunk.
And Fnatic with that, just 2 lanes of Rax up, no casualties whatsoever. There's still a pesky tier 1 top lane, which has taken absolutely no damage just yet. So that's, a little bit odd for them with this kind of pushing lineup, but they don't care. I think they're feeling very, very comfortable with the way that things are playing out. And now they've got some really nice tools to work with as far as Roshan positioning is concerned, because if it ends up in a stalemate, they can always just shove mid with wolves or summons or something like that, and it's Alliance that are actually the ones worrying about positioning. And the advantage of the top lane as well, which is supposed to be there for the Nature's Prophet, well, that's the obvious lane for Fnatic to push from this point forward, and the other lanes kind of deal with themselves. So,
and what's Bulldog going to do? There's not even a tier 1 to backdoor at this point. He can't go through backdoor protection on a tier 2. He's got nothing. They're going to have to fight. And at this point, down... It's 10k gold, really? It seems like it should be higher, but it just feels like so much more than that. Fnatic's damage output is just absurd, with Death Prophet, Lycan, and even the Wards. I don't think Alliance even has a third or a fourth of their damage. Not yet. Ember just isn't farmed enough. He's going for a second Battle Fury, doesn't have it yet, and probably needs one more item, the Daedalus, after that. Well, they find an initiation here. Trixie once again, just trying to prevent Loda from going in for an Aegis snipe, but SS4 is roaming around through the river on the backside. Invis and Hunty potentially. This could be a good combo here. Timber comes in, connects on 2, but the Hand of God is there. They get the wards off in the nick of time, and now Alliance probably have to back off. Death Prophet trying to finish off EGM. He'll chase that direction. Hani finds another kill. The Sleight of Fist is just barely tickling them. It's really the Timber who did all the damage with the death there. 4 heroes dead. Fnatic looking for 5. Can they make it the clean team wipe? Yes, they can. The stomp from Trixie out of this world, and Fnatic look to just slam it home, put the nails in the coffin. They won't need to. Alliance bolt themselves into that coffin and go underground. They've just lost a crucial match, and now their playoff fate is officially out of their own hands.
Fnatic victory.
So now, this is going to be awful for Alliance. They have to sit around with their fingers crossed for the remainder of the evening, I guess, or whatever period of time it is for you today. But yeah, losing control of that berth to China is going to be a big blow. But very nicely played by Fnatic. Alliance game 1, they let through the Tiny Wisp. They thought they could deal with it. Game 2, they left through the Lycan. But I think both of those just showed that, well, Fnatic knew how to exploit both of those lineups so well.
They really did. Well, Based Kip, thanks for joining me, buddy. Where can people follow you? How can they support you?
So if anybody wants to let me know what they thought of the co-casting, they can email me at basekipdota@gmail.com. That would be great. I love feedback. Otherwise, I'm on Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube, so all the usual social media places under the name of Basekip.
All right, guys, he's Base Kip. Base Kip, thanks for joining me as always. And guys, with that being said, we're not done yet. We've got more action for WPC Western Dota coming your way. We're going to take a quick break, and when we return, we'll have our next match. That match will be Dogma versus Cloud9. If Dog, they might just advance even if they just win 1 game, but definitely if they win 2, I think they'll move on with this loss here from Alliance. So Dogma in a good position. Cloud9, I think they're 1-3 right now, something like that. So they have their work cut out for them in these final 2 series. But with that being said, guys, we'll take a quick break and we'll be back. Stay tuned.